ashamed of yourself, not proud of your service.
If you have to call somebody a Nazi, it's a good indicator that you haven't thought through your argument very well.
Okay.
But get more creative with your insults, man. Like, Nazi, come on. What's up? Man. There's competing chants. I love you guys. I love you so much. Will you guys be on my Instagram story? All right, let's do this. Can you guys turn down the lights on me so we can see everybody? All right, I'll tell you when we start. Get the lights down a little bit. Get the lights down. I love you. Let's do this. Teen Student Action Summit. That's awesome. Get it all out. All right, let's get to it. Let me tell you what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about conservatism versus liberalism. This is a pretty important subject. It's the reason why a lot of you are here. But we're going to do it a certain way. We're going to tell the story in memes. Memes, yes! I did that because Benny Johnson told me I had to. He's like, you got to do it in memes. Like, all right. What? No, I'm not. Don't compete for the weirdest thing to yell out in the crowd. You don't want to win that competition. So, all right. If the people speak, the people must be heard. So, you know what I love about you guys? Everything. I love that when we get together, when we do this, everybody's got a smile on their face. You are the future of the conservative movement. You are the future of it. Optimistic, happy, because we have the right ideas. And that's why. And you're happy to be here. You don't descend on DC ready to bash heads in. You don't descend on DC ready to speak truth to power, whatever that means. You're here to talk about the right ideas and show optimism and joy. And I'll tell you what, because of that, we're starting to win the culture war. And I've got some experience with this personally. Let me show you something. In the past, people with eye patches have been vilified. Villains, these men with eye patches, sometimes women. What was her name? In Kill Bill? She was so mean, but man, she was badass. All villains. But then this happened. But then this happened. And what happened next? Oh, the pop culture media, they started to copy me. Thor tried to become me. And there's proof of this. Let's look at this. Thor was this beautiful godlike figure. He had long blonde hair and a shaved face and 2 eyes. And then all of a sudden, he had short hair, a trimmed beard, and 1 eye. The difference between me and Thor, however, can I get a, who wore it better? Who wore it better? Here's a big difference. There's the way I lost my eye, and we're actually going to get into that here in a little bit. And then there's the way he lost his eye. He got punched by his sister. That's how he lost his eye. Yes, that was my last Halloween costume. Disney can't help themselves. Disney can't help themselves. Now all the heroes have eye patches. That's exactly how it should be. We're going to keep it cool. Even Chris Evans came by to see it, and we had to show him that underneath, we've got a little bit of America inside. This is what we're about. We're about being happy. We're about keeping it positive. Unfortunately, America is starting to lose its mind a little bit. All right, we've seen that. Let's look at the highlights here. Oh, sorry, I forgot about this one. Let me tell this story real quick. That was my State of the Union eye patch. Disney's got nothing on this. The reason I have that eye patch is because I made every single Navy SEAL at my wedding wear an eye patch. We called it Dan Appreciation Night, which somebody told me later. There's an acronym, DAN, Dan Appreciation Night. They were all complaining. All these Navy SEALs walking around complaining. They couldn't see very well. They all had to do that. And the guy who makes this patch, an awesome guy named Charlie, he made that one special for me, and we wore it at the State of the Union to watch what was an amazing State of the Union, by the way. But while we're in here cheering, America is not. America is divided. America is on the brink of civil war, it always feels like.
We are America.
That's right. That's right. This is America. But our country's in a little bit of trouble. Even Thor is losing his freaking mind. You know why? Because he stopped wearing the eye patch. That's why. Come on, Thor. It's not the only one. Chris Pratt's now a racist. What? I don't think so. Not Chris Pratt. We like Chris Pratt. Not only that. Now this one we're like on the cusp of actually supporting. You know, on the one hand, my like top secret security clearance hat comes on, and you know, my time in the military comes into play, and I'm like, God, it's really not a good idea for somebody to invade a military base. On the other hand, I'm like, maybe it's good that they're distracted by Area 51 because I really don't want them to know what's in Area 52. And then there's this. Oh my God, the plastic straws. We can't even have plastic straws anymore. This is getting crazy. I got something for you guys though. Plastic straws. Who wants some? Hey. Be nice. There's more. Who wants plastic straws? We're making plastic straws popular again. All right, everybody calm down. You got your plastic straws. A hot commodity these days, especially if you're from California. You can't get those. You can go sell some of those in the black market. So this, the plastic straw excitement is, this is one of my favorite crazy left-wing policies. Because it exposes the shallow thinking of leftists. It's the definition of inch-deep activism. Like, so let's get this straight for a second. You believe that your straw ends up in the ocean, but not all the other trash that you throw away. Like someone in the trash collection business is picking out all of the straws from the trash and dumping just those into the ocean. Like seriously? Like seriously, this is where we're at? But there's actually a silver lining to this that I'm going to get into. You guys are all you're under 21 for the most part, and you don't know something specific about being a guy. So when you're a man at a bar and you order a cocktail, you're not supposed to drink from a straw, right? Like ladies are all like, okay. Guys got to be like this, all right? That's just, if you didn't know that, when you start going to bars, that's what's cool, all right? Now, there's something that happens every once in a while, because usually you even subconsciously, you move to the straw to the side, you might bend it over the glass a little bit to get it out of the way, but sometimes you forget. And sometimes you take that drink and that straw, that plastic straw, because it's hard and it's tough, pokes you right in the damn eye and it knocks your eye out. You want to know how I lost my eye? The real story? There you go. No, not really. All right. But I'm going to share with you some of my favorite fake eye stories. This is something I rather enjoy doing, especially when kids ask me. So we're going to give you my top 3 here. First one, running with scissors on a pool deck. You're not supposed to do that. Tom Cruise knows that. Next one, angry birds. This is a real thing. This is a real thing. Navy SEALs in Coronado, California have to deal with this constantly. There is a certain type of bird, it's a protected species. We can't build anything on that little section of beach because that's where these swallows or whatever they are, that's where they nest. But they're mean. And we always run down this path. We're running south from the Coronado base down to Imperial Beach. And these birds will fly behind you and dive bomb your head. Not messing around. These things are dangerous. You have to wear eye protection to deal with these angry birds. Number 3, eye tattoos. Raise your hand if you're familiar with the phenomenon of eye tattoos. It's scary that you guys know about that. You know, when I first lost my eye, and what I wear underneath is this. And when I first lost my eye, I was in a gym and I was working out, and this guy comes up to me, he's like, "Is that a tattoo on your eye?" And I was like, "No, of course not. Like, what are you talking about?" And he felt a little strange, he felt a little embarrassed, so he goes away and he comes back, shows me a YouTube video of somebody tattooing their eyeball. And he was like, "See, like it's not, like the people do this." Yes, people do that. Okay, kids, don't tattoo your eyeballs, don't eat Tide Pods. Just don't do any of that. All right, enough with the jokes. We're going to get serious. The reality is that I did not lose my eye in any of those ways. It's actually it's not as fun of a story. It's not as funny or interesting as any of those. It's a little boring. I got blown up by a bomb. And we were out in Afghanistan, and that's what happened. And the reality is I would do it again. And the other reality is that there's a lot of people who have sacrificed a hell of a lot more than I have. And we would do it again in a second. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. That's why I chose to serve again. And I think it's why you're here too. You're also here because you're conservatives, you're young conservatives. And you're coming together here. You're relating with each other, you're connecting because frankly it's lonely being an outspoken conservative. Especially if you're young. Kids your age are overwhelmingly to the left. They want to feel good about their politics. Emotional-based reasoning, it reigns supreme these days. But I think you're seeing more and more young people come awake to it. I think more young people are more naturally conservative than we might believe, but there's a certain mantra that you hear. It's that they're socially liberal but fiscally conservative. You hear it all the time from your peers, I bet. Maybe some people in here feel that way. So when you hear that, you would think, okay, half of the people who say that would say they're Democrat and half would say they're Republican, but it doesn't really turn out that way. They usually default to the Democratic Party. We're trying to figure out why that is. And frankly, everyone who says that, socially liberal, fiscally conservative, they have sort of a different set of ideas of why they say it. I have a feeling it means something along these lines. It means you don't want to pay too much in taxes. You want more freedom and choice in your life. You want to start a business. You want to make that easy. You don't think that there should be excessive regulations. You don't think government debt should be too high. And you're wondering if Social Security is going to be there for you. And you're wondering why you're paying into it. And you're wondering, shouldn't problems be solved at the local level when the people being elected are closer to the problem than at a centralized bureaucracy? Yeah, makes sense. But, you also like to party with your friends. You like to get tattoos, hopefully not on your eye. You want to backpack through Europe. You want to meditate in India. You want to volunteer teaching English in South America, all of that. You have gay and lesbian friends, and that doesn't bother you, of course. But the question then becomes, does that make you someone with personally liberal characteristics, or does that mean you are politically left-leaning? And can't there be a distinction between those two things? I think that's what we have to explain. I'm going to blow your mind for a second. I'm going to tell you something amazing. Being socially liberal doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. And I want to explain this in another way, too. When it comes to social issues, conservatives are the only ones with a consistent philosophy. Live free and do not allow the actions of one to infringe on the rights and freedoms of another. That is our philosophy. We're pro-life because we cannot allow the taking of another person's life. Do not infringe on the life of another. We're not against the LGBT community, not at all. We just don't think that a baker should be forced at gunpoint to bake a cake that they don't believe in. Conservatism is a formula for living together peacefully without telling others what to do. It's consistent, it makes sense. Liberal activism, it's not necessarily wrong. Okay, not all the time. I disagree with pretty much everything they say, but it's not necessarily threatening. If you have a liberal issue that you believe in, advocate for it, fine. But liberal governance is a mess. And it's a mess because there's no actual principles driving it. It's a political philosophy that's based on activism, not coherent governing strategy. People who are only concerned with fixing what tends to be a very vague definition of injustice or inequality, they're forgetting about all of the other important principles by which we should govern. Things like individual liberty, the right to defend oneself, states' rights, federalism, fiscal responsibility, and so on. Well, that activism, that feel-good activism, it has to be enforced at some point. How? Well, it's by the endless bureaucrats and bureaucracies that it creates. The deep state is the left's favorite tool to enforce their activism. It's directionless. It's endless activism, and it's not a form of governance. Ordered liberty is freedom. True freedom is ordered liberty. We put up this video, the Statue of Liberty. Does anybody know what she's holding? Not the torch, but the tablet. It says that the date on it is the 4th of July, 1776, but that's not what it is. It is a tablet of law. The Statue of Liberty is holding a tablet of law. Why is that? Because we don't believe in just freedom to do whatever you want. No, we believe in liberty, ordered liberty. You can't have real freedom without ordered liberty. There has to be rule of law. That's why she's holding the tablet of law. It's based on timeless conservative principles where the rule of law is respected. And we also understand that for the law to be respected, it must be respectable. What kind of law is respectable? Well, the simple kind. We want simple laws for a complex society. But it's also the kind, and this is the most important thing, and this is why I think 1776 is on there and why it references the Declaration of Independence, because the Declaration of Independence told us why laws exist. It told us that it exists to protect our inalienable rights. It was very simple. Everything is derived from that. To prevent others from doing injustice against you. Law is ordered liberty. The protection of your inalienable rights, not the promise of false philanthropy. This is a difference. False philanthropy must, by definition, infringe on the rights of others in order to be implemented. It's more free stuff. It's more false promises over and over again. Why? Because politicians find it very easy to buy people's votes. And we have to tell them, we will not be bought off. And this is especially important for your generation to say. And here's why. Because this is what your future looks like right now. Our deficits are skyrocketing. Our debt is about $22 trillion right now, driven mostly by entitlement spending. False promises. False promises. Politicians finding it so easy to simply promise you more and more and more. Just give me your votes and I'll give you power. It's gotten even worse since then. It's not just false promises, it's identity politics, pitting different groups against each other, saying, I promise your group more power over that group. Just vote for me. It's not just that. It's also about the puppies. I know. Let's get all the awes out. They're very cute. They're very, very cute. We love them. It's Joey and Luna. These are my dogs. What do puppies have to do with this? All right, puppies are things that we all like, right? And if you don't like puppies, if you're a cat person, I don't have anything against you. Oh, wow, okay, this crowd does not like cat people. Come on, there's some cat people in here. Be inclusive. Whoa, bold man over there. Bold. Everybody likes puppies. Okay, so we have a federal government, a Congress that has no balanced budget amendment. And when you have no balanced budget amendment, there's no incentive to make actual choices. It's easy to shame each other. Shame each other, morally shame. I'm going to get on more high ground and say, I'm a better person than you because I want to spend money on this. I want to attach dollar signs to the size of my heart. This is what they do. Everybody's guilty of it. And here's what happens. You put up a bill, pro-puppy bill, because who wouldn't be for a pro-puppy bill, and you say, we got to spend, I know, we got to spend $10 million on the puppies. Well, somebody else can simply say next year, we have to spend $20 million on the puppy. And if you don't want to spend $20 million on the puppies, well, you're anti-puppy. And you go tell the voters, you're anti-puppy. Don't vote for that guy. He's anti-puppy. Shame each other into more and more spending, and then we make your generation pay for it. It's completely unsustainable. Here's the thing. Here's the thing I want to help everybody understand. Here's what I want you to tell your peers. Got to help young people understand that living as a liberal in your personal life, living a cool, fun, liberal lifestyle, all that, it doesn't automatically mean you should vote that way. There is conservative culture and there is liberal culture, but there's a big difference in how those cultures manifest into governance. Conservative government leads to more liberty, love of America, and a reliance on social fabric instead of government. But liberal governance, and especially progressivism, it leads to using government as a tool to force conformity to progressive culture. Beginning with a strong desire, it's always this. We just want to do nice things. Just want to do nice things. Begins with that. And then well-intentioned activism. But it always ends in a desire to create a utopia and force mankind's nature to conform to whatever government wants. And you can't implement your utopia without more power. And this is where it starts to get scary. First, they promise you stuff. They use identity politics to gain more power. And if you're unsure about how that works out, let me explain to you the difference between the political parties. Because leftist government is all about gaining more power. And when people ask you, what's the difference between Democrat and Republican? Here's a very simple way to put it. It's the word Democrat. It's the word Republican. Democrats are very comfortable with pure democracy. We don't have pure democracy in this country. That's mob rule. You don't want pure democracy. Pure democracy is 51% of the population telling the other 49% what to do, just clubbing them over the head. If you're comfortable with that, well, it shows. There's a reason that they want to put more power in the executive branch, more power in unelected judges, more power in unelected bureaucrats. There's a reason they want to abolish the Electoral College, so that 51% of the population can tell the other 49% exactly what to do. Power. Republicans believe in, well, a republic. A republic is more stable. A republic is what we created, what our founding fathers created. A republic has checks and balances. There's an emphasis on state and local government, ensuring that a slim majority of the country can't tell the rest of us what to do or how to live. A republic allows us to live together peacefully. A pure democracy is mob rule. A republic is stable. Pure democracy is chaos. And what worries me lately, talking about power, is the extent to which leftists are willing to go to make their case for this utopian vision. Watch this video. Where is that? What is this an example of? Really. At its heart, it's an example of the left's desire to tear down the symbols that represent the foundations of our country. Because if you're going to create your utopia, you have to ruin everything that's already there. You've got to eat away at the very symbols that bring us together as a country. And what are those symbols? Because it's not as if we're brought together by any ethnicity. We're not brought together by any religion. It's not even really geographic area that totally makes us an American, because it's changed over time. It's ideas. It is certain ideas that we wrote down in Philadelphia, and it's certain symbols. The flag, the Pledge of Allegiance, the national anthem. Things that we all hold dear. If you're trying to undermine America as a whole, it's not surprising that they would start with those symbols. This is dangerous. It's extremely dangerous, and it's a culture war that we find ourselves right in the midst of. It's ruining us as a country. It's becoming more difficult to share things that we all thought we would once share. Things like the NFL. We all wanted to cheer for the women's soccer team, but it got politicized. Wish it hadn't. Can't even share our shoes. The 4th of July. We find the New York Times trying to decimate any kind of idea of American greatness with their op-eds. Even the Apollo 11 50th anniversary, the New York Times came at it again. America's not that great. Forget the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. Why do they do this? They do it because if you're going to create a utopia, you have to ruin the foundations of a country. It's creating civil war. Because if you can't share the basics of your culture, whether it's pop culture, your movies, your music, your late night comedy, if we no longer get to share even those things, well, what do we share? It's a problem, and it's leading to some very dangerous stuff. It's leading to things like this. That's Andy No in Portland, fighting Antifa and trying to expose the violent thugs that they are. And guess what? We have Andy No here with us today. Come on up. Say a few words. Andy.
Thank you. I was told there was only time for me to say one thing, so I just wanted to take the opportunity, Congressman, to thank you for your service and sacrifice to this country.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Andy No, everybody. He's going to be around. That's the kind of guts it takes if we're going to win this. We have to expose it because most Americans don't want it. And this is going to be the battle of our times. It is the battle between those who believe that we are good. We have improvements to make, but we're good. And between those who believe in the notion of socialist revolution, who believe we are inherently bad. It's the multicultural moral relativist versus the American culture moral absolutist. There is right and wrong. There is an American culture, and it is good, period. We love America. But it turns out that now makes you the rebels. See, you are the new counterculture. The generation that will say, it's cool to be independent. It's cool to be a leader instead of a victim. It's cool to think that just because a problem needs to be solved doesn't mean it's the federal government's job to solve it. You are the generation. You are the generation that will seek empowerment and self-reliance, not dependency. You are the generation that will remember to unapologetically love America. Get it out. Our revolution as conservatives has to be a revolution against the idea that emotions should drive governing. Revolution is not just for the Marxists anymore. Boo them, we don't like them. It's time for our own. It's time for our own revolution where we bring back all the best ideas that mankind ever had. These are the ideas that came from over thousands of years of human history that we finally wrote down in Philadelphia. The ideas of liberty and limited government, and the notion that our government exists for the purpose of protecting our God-given rights. We are going to do it with some serious 21st century swagger. It's okay to love America. Be a rebel. Be conservative. Conservatism is cool. Love you guys. Thank you. Thank you.